Welcome to the Love Your Pets podcast, a podcast for pet lovers in Ireland where you get pet tips, news, and interviews. It's educational, it's informative, but most of all, it's fun. Welcome your host, Kate McQuillan.
Welcome, pet lovers, to your weekly episode of the Love Your Pets podcast, brought to you from a really mild island. The sun's shining, it's cold, but it's actually a really good excuse to treat yourself to a new hat, a scarf, and some gloves. So go on, why not? Now remember, if you want the show notes in your inbox each week, then go to petsittersisland.com/Love Your Pets podcast. And each week I'll send you the link to the podcast and the notes that go with it. So let's get this show started. Now our weekly fun fact this week is all about black cats. Halloween's approaching, and why not? Did you know that cats who are black have a much harder time finding homes once they're in rescues? People are actually more drawn to cats with more interesting markings, and black cats are actually not seen as being very photogenic. Now, in a world of the cat selfie, that obviously causes a problem for some people. So consider when you go to a rescue, why not rescue a black cat? Why not take all those black cats and give them some homes? Okay, in the Paw Time Press this week, I have a couple of stories for you. The first one is really cute. It's actually a video, and you'll get the video on the show notes. Now, cats aren't known for liking water. I know our cat doesn't. But this cat loves to take a little shower in the bathroom sink. The video's hilarious. Check it out. The cat genuinely seems to be fascinated by the water as he sits there, and he actually lets the water fall down on his head, and he's watching it, and then he sticks his head back under. It's so cute. At one stage, it looks like he's even having a little drink. It's absolutely adorable. Now, the second story is actually a story that we've covered before, and it's about dogs being poisoned on the Limerick-Clare border on dog walks. So people are out walking their dogs as normal, and people are advised before to keep their dogs on a short lead, not let them go into any kind of growth and, be kind of rummaging around, and to just kind of keep the walk kind of straight on and not let them, eat anything. But there's been another incident this week of 2 dogs dying from being poisoned. Now, the lady was actually walking her dog. She didn't have them on a long lead. She had them on a short lead. They were very focused on them walking. They were watching what they were doing. But somehow this has happened. It's absolutely devastating, and I would urge people to actually share this story. I have posted the link from the Irish Examiner on our Facebook page. You can go to facebook.com/PetSittersIreland, and you can share it straight from there, or you can get the link in the show notes. It's such a horrible thing to be happening, and the more people that can be aware of it, the sooner hopefully that this can be stopped. Now, our Paws and Pet shout out this week is going to the original vampire cat, complete with bow tie, who we found on Instagram. Absolutely gorgeous, cool picture. You can get the picture on the show notes. And remember, if you want your pets to be internet famous, then post a picture of your pet on Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag #LoveYourPetsPodcast. And each week we pick one of the coolest pets from around the world to feature on the show.
You're listening to the Love Your Pets podcast, sponsored by Pet Sitters Ireland. Planning a trip or need your dog walking? Then contact Pet Sitters Ireland at www.PetsittersIreland.com for all your pet care needs.
This week in the Spotlight, we look at how you can keep your pets relaxed and safe at Halloween to make it less stressful for both you and your pets. So we have a bunch of Halloween safety tips for you that I'm going to go through now. So tip number 1, keep sweets away from your pets. We all know that chocolate's toxic to dogs, but actually other types of treats can be too. And at Halloween, there's lots of extra treats about. The shops are absolutely full of jelly sweets, lollipops, muffins, cakes, biscuits, all Halloween themed, ready to give out to those trick-or-treaters. And dogs in particular can be really clever when it comes to stealing treats from around the house. So you do need to be really careful. Now, wrappers left lying around can also be dangerous to animals. Obviously, they can smell the treat off the wrapper, and they can be prone to trying to eat them, which is obviously a choke hazard for them. So just make sure you keep them out of reach to avoid any possible choking or sickness in your pets. And remember, if you've got guests over or your children have friends over, that they actually are made aware that, no, you don't give these to the dog. That's important. Tip number 2 then is to keep any decorations out of reach. It's really fun to decorate your house at Halloween, and the amount of decorations in the store has increased dramatically over the years. With everything you could possibly imagine, there's hundreds of different things you can purchase, many of which have lots of small parts to them. You've got a lot of electrical devices with moving parts, and a lot of things with electric cables as well, which can all be very dangerous to your animals. And pets don't realise how hazardous they are and can easily injure themselves, get caught up in them, choke on them, anything like that. So try and make sure that you tidy any cables away, that anything that's edible to a dog is put up high out of their reach. And cats have a tendency to kind of play with things. So again, just be kind of wary of where things are. Tip number 3 then is beware of lit pumpkins. Something I love to do at Halloween is to carve out a pumpkin and put a candle in it. And I'd recommend this to anybody, whether you have pets or not. You should never leave a lit candle when you're out of the house. Just always remember, if you've lit candles, just to check before you're going out that you've blown them all out and they've actually gone out. But especially when you have pets, it can be easy for them to knock candles over. You know, an excited dog can easily catch their tail, and then you've got candle wax sprayed across your carpet, or something even worse could happen. So keep all these out of the path of your pets, and remember to blow out the candle before you leave the home. Some people actually prefer to light candles on their porch or in the front garden, so they're actually not in the home. That's probably one of the safest things to do. I know it's nice to look at them in your house, but if you've got any concerns about your pets, then it's always better to be on the safe side. Tip number 4 then is to keep your pets relaxed. It can actually be a really noisy time of year with fireworks, parties, trick-or-treaters. You know, it's even started now. It's not just on Halloween. It's in the run-up to Halloween, and fireworks seem to go on forever. So your pets are probably going to be feeling a little bit more anxious about what's happening. You know, they're not used to this kind of noise, and they don't understand where it's coming from. It can make them very nervous. You can combat this by trying to keep them in a separate room with maybe some soft music or the TV playing. If you know you're going to be getting a lot of trick-or-treaters, or you're aware there's going to be some fireworks going off in the area, you know, sometimes just turning the TV up can be good. Obviously, if you can, sit with them, try and keep them calm, try and keep them occupied and distracted from the noises around them. If you know that your pets really suffer this time of year, then you could always talk to your vet about some medication for them. I'm sure there's something that they'll be able to do to help you out. So tip number 5 then, keep your pets indoors. All your pets should be inside this time of year, especially with Halloween fastly approaching. It can be really scary for animals being outside, and they can actually become very stressed. And also, don't forget about any small caged animals, you know, maybe a rabbit that you have outside. Actually bring them into sheds or garages so that they're out of that loud noise. And if you bring your pets inside, then keep them in another room if you're going to be opening and closing the door all night for trick-or-treaters. Alternatively, you could install a baby or a pet gate at the front door so they can't get out. Just basically make sure that, you know, they're not going to be spooked by somebody coming to the door and then make a run for it, because that's the last thing that you're going to want to happen. Tip number 6, ID tags and microchipping. Make sure your pets have both. Now, it is a legal requirement for your dog to be microchipped, but if you don't have ID tags on them as well, then consider investing in them. If your pets do get out and someone finds them, then they can be quickly looking up your details off the tag rather than having to wait for a vet to scan them. The GPS tracking collars, they're also a great idea. We've reviewed those on the blog before, ones for cats and ones for dogs, and they're fantastic. You know, they're not a small price, but they're definitely an investment. Tip number 7 then, dressing your dog or cat up. People have mixed opinions on whether you should dress your pets up or not. Some people argue their pets love it, and others counter argue saying that pets can't speak. How do they know they love it? But if you do decide to dress your pet up this Halloween, make sure they're comfortable and it's not adding to the stress. If you're taking them out to an event, then make sure that it's not going to be too crowded or noisy for them. It can be very scary and overwhelming, especially for an evening event. It's probably best to ring ahead first and see exactly what the event is going to be like before you go. And if in doubt, leave your dog at home with a pet sitter.
You're listening to the Love Your Pets podcast, sponsored by Pet Sitters Ireland. Planning a trip or need your dog walking? Then contact Pet Sitters Ireland at www.petsittersireland.com for all your pet care needs.
Halloween is only a few weeks away. Although the noise has already started with fireworks and festivities like we mentioned. So keep these handy tips in mind, and if you know someone with pets, then please do share them with them. Now, if you have other tips for us, then head on over to the show notes and add them into the comments below so that our listeners can learn from them too. And have a really happy Halloween. Now, this podcast has been sponsored by Pet Sitters Ireland for all your pet sitting and dog walking needs. If you enjoyed it, then please sign up on iTunes to listen every week, and it would be totally awesome if you gave us a review. And don't forget, you can get the show notes in your inbox to save you time each week at petsittersisland.com/Love Your Pets podcast. And if you're looking for previous episodes of the show, then you can find them all at loveyourpetspodcast.com. And I'll chat to you next week. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for listening to the Love Your Pets podcast with your host, Kate McQuillan.